welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I will walk you through some rounds of Cosmic Empires, a game by Alex Gulai, and he's about to start his campaign on Kickstarter for a second edition with a lot of additional components and upgraded visuals and upgraded rules and such. In this walkthrough I have to focus on the first edition as I only have a copy of the first edition. But of course I will try to give you some ideas of what you can expect in the second edition, and of course you will also find a link to the campaign itself. So let's find out what this game is all about.
And I think we can get started. So this is already the setup for a 3-player game. The game plays really nicely with 2 and 4 players as well. I've not really tried it with 5 players. It's also possible, but Alex told me that the game can take considerably longer when playing with 5 players. But overall, it's a relatively fast-paced game. In total there are 5 different factions in the game. So here we have the corporations represented by the blue player. Here are the scientists, and last but not least the red player is playing the Empire. Each of the factions have 3 of those secret mission cards. This is basically how you win the game. You choose one at the start of the game and then you keep it secret from all the other players, and as soon as you have whatever fulfilled the goals of a secret mission card, you reveal it, and then you will be basically the winner by the end of this round. Here, for example, the Empire. This goal says collect 8 capacity markers on your starting space or starting field here, and then you would be the winner of the game. Note, you have now 2 language version of the cards, and I think this is already something that Alex will change in the second edition of this game. I think the final product will then only show English components. And here you see the secret mission cards for the corporations. Here, for example, command 3 more ships than any other players, but at least 4 ships. No, this is not a 9, it's a 4. I stumbled upon this, but in the new version of the rulebooks it's clearly mentioned. There's nowhere a 9 mentioned on those mission cards, so it's always a 4 when you see this. Here of this one you have to control 3 asteroid fields and 2 stations, and each of those fields must be guarded by a ship, and so on. As mentioned, each of the players now chooses one of those secret mission cards. If you don't know the game, I really recommend you to tell the other players what secret missions there are available before you choose one. Otherwise it can be really unfair, especially when you're playing with some more experienced player who know the cards in the game. So you really don't know what the other players are up to. So this is how I do it normally when I play with a new faction or when I play with new players. I always tell them my possible secret mission cards, and then I choose one. Each of the players normally starts with one of those frigates here and one of those capacity markers. I will explain those capacity markers in a bit, I guess. And here's also a very important difference to the upcoming second edition of the game. He's really aiming for replacing those cardboard standees here with actual figures. I think I have some of the footage available. Maybe I can share that to you right now, so you should be able to see how the prototypes of those plastic components look like. But during setup we already have a difference for the Empire player, because he starts the game automatically with 2 of those capacity markers, and those capacity markers are pretty much the only currency in this game. There's also the population cubes, but this is more or less a capacity which allows you to build more ships. So one of those capacity markers can later equal one of those ships. So with 2 capacity markers you can have up to 2 ships in your entire fleet. As part of setup we reveal 2 of those public mission cards. One of this is the starting mission card here with this little asterisk here, and the second card is drawn at random. This is a deviation from the first edition rules. There is always only 1 public mission available to all of those players. I find this, let's say, variant or official variant much more interesting, because there are really occasions where you simply cannot fulfill the goals of those mission cards. Then these mission cards are lying out there forever. So this is how I will play it in this walkthrough here. Yeah, and last but not least, we have the main game board, which consists of those awesome beer coasters here. Right now they are all face down. You will be able to reveal them when you fly to those, or there are also other ways how you can scout them, for example, but I'll come to that in a second. This is a totally random setup. It's really a huge variety of different things you can find there, from pirates, asteroid fields, mining stations, planets, you name it. And there's also a huge pile of additional tiles waiting to replace some of those tiles that are currently face down here in the universe. I nearly forgot this population bag here, so I put in this bag 10 cubes of all of the player colors. So there are 10 blue, 10 yellow and 10 red of those tokens. So let's just determine the starting player by drawing one of those cubes. Let's see. Okay, the red player will go first, which means we will place the common turn marker to the right of the red player, the starting player, and whenever the turn passes from the yellow player over to the red player, we pass over this common turn marker. Then we will have a so-called common turn, and we will also start the game with a common turn. This common turn marker circles around the table whenever we complete one of those public mission cards, in order to give everyone the opportunity to start a so-called common turn. Okay, then let's start the common turn for the red player. Being the starting player here, you can either examine one of those face down tiles, or you can replace them. Of course, you cannot do both of those actions in the same turn, as you don't have any clue what's waiting for you in this sector of the galaxy. It's always a good idea to check out the tiles that you can reach with your fleet. Normally your fleet or your ships have a reach of 2 spaces, so 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and so you would choose normally one of those 4 tiles at the start of the game. And why not just have a look at this tile here? Of course, this is really information that only you know, so you have a look at those tiles here. So let's see, and right now I will put it face up, it's easier for the camera. So here would be a planet, so this is actually a very good destination for the red player. We will put that back face down. Of course, none of the other players have an idea what he just saw. Blue player does the same basically, and so does yellow. This was pretty much the common turn. All of the players examine the tile. Makes sense, because none of the players knows what they're up to. And now we come to the normal player's turn. The first thing that you always do on a player's turn is you can activate the systems you control. And as all the players right now control their starting space here, they can activate it right away. This symbol means when you activate this one, you will be allowed to build another frigate. But of course, you have to check for your capacity markers. In this case, the Empire already starts the game with 2 capacity markers, so he can just call another frigate from his homeworld or so. So he will immediately start the game with 2 of those frigates. But all frigates that you build basically new cannot be used in your very first turn. And after the activation, you come to your main phase basically. One thing that you can do is fleet movement. You can do ship construction as long as you have something where you can build those. So as long as you don't see this icon on one of your control tiles, you cannot do this. Or you can do diplomacy actions. You are only doing one of those main actions here. In most cases you will move, that's for sure, and this is what the red player will do. He will go for a fleet movement. Then you announce a tile which you can reach with 1 or more of your ships. So really you can only choose one destination for this fleet movement, but you can drag in all ships that are more or less in reach of this system. So let's say he would have ships here and possibly there. Then he would claim, I want to move or activate this system here. Then he could move both of those ships down here, because they have all they are all in reach of 2 to this system. Here in this case, that's clearly not a problem. He will move here. We already seen this tile, and here we revealed a planet named Cassiopeia. As it's a planet, we have to populate the planet right now. The first thing that you always do is you check for the color here. I think this should be the blue player's color, so we already have one blue cube here. Then we put one cube of the player color ship that moved here. If I would have moved with 2 ships here, I would be allowed to place 2 of those cubes here. All of the planets, or most of the planets, have a population of 6. So what you do right now is you now draw 4 additional cubes from the population bag. Keep in mind those bag only contains cubes from the players who are actively playing the game. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow, that's awesome for the blue player here. So in this case, it's clearly, or it's very obvious that blue is in control of Cassiopeia here, which is certainly a pity for the red player. But also keep in mind, we already drew 4 of those cubes out of the cloth bag. So it's very unlikely that we will have a similar result with one of the next planets out there. Yeah, and this was pretty much the turn of the red player, the Empire here. We can now stand this ship up so we can use it as of the next round. But as the blue player just got control over this planet here, and this planet shows a little of those capacity icons here, this means he just got a second capacity token, which is great for him because he didn't do anything for it. Awesome. And then we jump directly into the turn of the blue player here. As he has now 2 capacity, he's also allowed to activate his starting space here. So he will call another fleet from his home world. He cannot use it in this turn. And for his main action, he will also jump right into the action here. So he checked out this tile here. This looks to be okay for him. So he will fly there. And here we have a science station. This is now a space station. Those work kind of differently as they don't have any population, of course. So whenever you fly to this science stations or any stations like that, it's not a planet. Basically, you just put in a token on those to show that you are in control. As long as I have a spaceship here, this spaceship can defend my station, but as soon as I would fly away and another player would go there, he could immediately replace this cube here. This station grants me also great benefit at the start of my turn, so this stage has already passed now, but if I would be able to activate it at the start of my next turn or blue player's next turn, he could either go for an event card, always a great thing, or he could upgrade one of his ships anywhere on the game board, which is really awesome. And now it's time to check the requirements of those public missions. He got control over a planet, so he can claim one of those planets here. He can go for either of those public mission cards. I think let's go for this one here. He wants to be present on both of those. And I think he will also go for one of those stations here. So he just got control over a station. So overall, he's really doing great, even though he didn't really do anything for this planet here. And those public missions are being resolved when all of those spaces are being completed. Then this mission is completed, and all the players who have stones on this card basically get the rewards, which printed here. For example, for each stone that's on this card, you gain one of those capacity markers, and here you get one of those population cubes, which is always a great thing to have. Then it's the yellow player's turn. The scientist, his special ability is that he can activate one of those tiles twice. Unfortunately, he doesn't have additional capacity markers right now, so he cannot activate this space here twice. He will also move, so he will do a fleet movement. He checked out this tile here. He was not entirely happy what he saw there, so he decides to move 1, 2 spaces here. So let's reveal this tile, and this was really a bad choice. This is an empty space worth basically nothing. There are missions available that show you, hey, control one of those empty spaces, but apart from that, they really don't provide you anything. But still, he's now in control of this empty space. And luckily the starting mission card shows an empty space here. So at least he was able to take part of this public mission there. Before we move over to the red player here, we will do another common turn because we passed over this token here, so from the yellow player to the red player. Again, all of the players can now decide to either examine another tile or to replace another tile. Of course, you can only replace tiles that are still face down on the table. So everything that's revealed is blocked and cannot be changed at all. Okay, red is still the starting player, and I think he will examine this tile here. This is another empty space, totally useless for him. Blue will check out this tile here. I don't show this to you. And I guess yellow will check out this tile here. Now the red player starts his main action here, and he checked out this tile. He doesn't like this tile and he does not want to go there. What's really important for him are those capacity tokens, because I chose the following secret mission for him, so we have to collect 8 of those capacity markers on your starting space. That's really quite a lot. Right now we only have 2 of those, so we are still 6 short. Luckily there is a mission out there which would grant us some of those capacity markers here, so this is really worth thinking about it, getting control over more and more planets. And as red is sitting on a planet right in front of his nose, which he's not in control of because of the lack of the blue player, seems to be Irish, he really thinking of doing a diplomacy action. Normally you can do a diplomacy action anywhere on the board, but you can only do those on the planets. Of course, they have to be inhabited, that's for sure. You also cannot do a diplomacy action on a planet which is protected by another player. So as long as a ship is there from another player, you cannot do a diplomacy action. There is a smuggling base which allows you to do that, but normally you're not allowed to do that. The best thing to do a diplomacy action is to fly to the planet you want to go to with a ship, because as long as you come in with a ship, you are allowed to replace 2 of those stones with stones from your color. If you do that somewhere else where none of your ships are present, you're only allowed to do that once. So in this case he will go for a diplomacy action, so he will replace those 2 blue cubes with 2 of those red cubes, which is unfortunately still not enough to get control over Cassiopeia, because you really have to have the majority, but I think he is on the right track here. And then it's a turn of the blue player. This ship is now available to him. He cannot use the starting space right now because he has 2 capacity markers and already 2 ships here, so he cannot call in any more reinforcement, but he can certainly activate this science station here, so he can now either go for a event card or for an upgrade. Both of those are tempting, but I think for now I will go for one of those awesome event cards, and I think I will show this one here to you. And this is already a great card for the blue player. It's a revolt. Reduce the population of 1 planet by 1 stone anywhere on the game board. Of course, it has to be revealed. And in this case, it's pretty obvious that he will remove one of those red cubes here, which means he is again in control over this planet. So he can also immediately activate the planet. Those cards really can be played anytime during your game, normally not when you are in a battle. There are special battle event cards for those, but in this case this is a perfect legal move here. So again, he can activate Cassiopeia, which means he can draw another of those event cards. And here he drew another awesome card, Maximum Firepower. The blue sides of your attack dice count as hits during the current combat. So this is something that you can play apparently in a combat situation, and you can play any number of those battle cards. The other type of cards you can only play once during your turn, but those battle cards you can place unlimited amount of times during a battle. Of course, we must not forget that he just reclaimed control over Cassiopeia here, which means he will be able to place a cube on one of those mission cards here. You're normally doing this after your main action, but before I forget that, I will do that right away. I think I will go for this one here. And now for his main action, I think he will just blindly jump into this system with this ship here. So let's reveal it here. We have an asteroid space. I think this could be good news. Yes, it is. Wow, he's really doing incredibly good, as he just claimed an additional space on one of those mission cards. Awesome. Then it's the yellow player's turn. He had a look at this tile as far as I can remember, so he will definitely go there. 1, 2 spaces, and here we have Archery, which is a planet, and it's a yellow planet. So the planet will start with 1 yellow cube. He can provide another yellow cube because he's there with 1 ship, and the remaining 4 cubes will be filled from the back. So here are 3 and 1 more. Awesome. He is definitely in control over this planet here, which means this provides him an additional capacity marker for once. In the next round, he can activate this planet in order to upgrade one of his ships. This is also awesome. But of course, he also got control over one of those planets, which means he can place one of his cubes on one of those mission cards. And I think he will go for this mission here, which is really a pity for the red player because he needs those capacity markers desperately. But yeah, this is how the game actually is. So in this case, all of the players that are present on this mission cards get now the rewards, and 1 reward per cube. So in this case, the blue player will immediately get 2 more of those capacity markers, and this is really huge. But the yellow player is also relatively happy now. This mission will get discarded. We will remove the cube, so let's discard it. We will immediately reveal a new one. This says raid, so now you can really gain some progress or some benefits, some bonus by going for those pirate ships or also going into battle with another player. So whenever you are successful in a combat, you can place one of your cubes here. If you do this versus neutral pirates, you also gain an immediate capacity token. This is also a relatively great tile for the red player here. But there is still one more thing to do. This common turn marker has now to rotate counterclockwise on the game board. So it's now between the blue player and the yellow player. And this also means we don't see another common turn. Now we can jump directly into the action of the blue player. And I think he will go for another diplomacy action. He cannot really activate the space, but he can really make sure that the blue player will not be able to activate Cassiopeia again. So again, let's replace 2 of the blue cubes with 2 of the red cubes. Now he is in control. Unfortunately, he does not gain an additional capacity markers because all the capacity markers that are printed on those planet tiles here are basically counted together, and only if those symbols that you control exceed your current capacity tokens, you get an additional one. So that's really unfortunate for him, but of course he's still able to place one of his control markers on the public mission here. Then it's the turn of the blue player. Yeah, and I think he will activate his starting space here because he has 4 capacity tokens. He only has 2 ships, so that's not a problem. And you can send your ships anywhere on the board or on any tile which you control. So you could go here, here, or there. In this case, I think he wants to protect his science station of his secret mission there, and then he's still allowed to utilize this science center here, and I think this time he will go for an upgrade. And upgrades come in 2 flavors. Once you have the laser cannons or something like that, and you have the shields. Each ship can only be equipped with 2 of those upgrades, and they have to be different updates. So basically a laser and a shield. So you cannot have a ship with 2 laser systems, for example, because it doesn't do you any good at all. In this case, I think it's worth thinking about equipping one of the ships with a laser cannon. So let's go for it. And you can upgrade a ship anywhere on the game board which you control apparently, and I think in this case I will just go for this ship here. So you'll place the token underneath the ship. Of course sometimes you have to check, but you really see the difference. This is also a great improvement in the second edition of the game because of this miniatures. There are these little slots in it where you can put in little sticks basically, and these show you how your ship is upgraded already. But this works pretty well here as well. These were all the activations. Yeah, he lost Cassiopeia, that's pretty much it. And during an earlier turn he had a look at this tile here, and I think he wants to go there with 2 of his ships. So this is in range, this is in range, so he will go here. And here we see some pirates, and these are pretty nasty pirates here. So this is basically a pirate with a big ship here. This is one of those cruisers and one of those frigates. But when you are able to defeat those pirates, you get 2 prizes here, which is also a cool thing. This can be either an upgrade or an event card, so great thing. And also keep in mind that one of our public mission cards is basically a raid card, so we really want to go after those pirates and also other players here. In this case I want to take out those pirates because you get some additional bonus here as well. So let's have a look at the battlefield here. So we have one of those cruisers. Cruisers take 3 hits before they are destroyed, so normally I do it like this. So I take 3 of those cubes, and the frigates, the smaller ones, take 2 hits to be destroyed. So in this case this is the cruiser, this is the frigate. Normally you can also lie them down when they're damaged or something like that, but in this case for neutral players it works pretty well using those extra cubes here. I think the blue player will go for his maximum power battle card here, so the blue sides of your attack dice count as hits during the current combat. This is a great thing. Pirates never retreat from battle, so we have to fight until the bitter end. And as the corporations are filthy rich, it's considered they always have some kind of protection with their fleet. So they are allowed to roll 1 extra die during combats. And this is really a huge advantage if you are into battles. But at some point in the game you really have to take out either other players or those pirates. Okay, so how does combat actually work? For once, you are allowed to roll 1 die per frigate that is present. Right now I have 1 frigate that is not upgraded, so I roll 1 of those white dice. Then I take 1 die that's showing my upgraded ship with the laser cannons, and I also got an extra die because I am the corporations player. Normally only the red sides are basically hits when you roll them. There are 2 times red on this die. Yeah, it's 2, so you have 1/3 chance to hit. Basically like Arkham Horror here. If you are using an upgraded ship with weapon systems, basically greens are also hit, which is why I use, for the upgraded ship, I use the yellow die here. This is also what the rules recommend to do. The bonus die just follows a normal white die, so this also only hits on a red. So now I would roll all 3 of those dice. Combat is simultaneously, so the other player will be able to strike back. So let's see how well we do. Okay, this is basically only 1 hit. This is green. Unfortunately, this is on the wrong die, so this is just only 1 hit, which means I damaged 1 of the ships, and I think I will go for the easier frigate here. But of course the pirate player is now allowed to strike back. He rolls 1 die for his frigate and 2 dice for his cruiser, and for him only reds count as successes. So let's see. Okay, 1 of our ships got damaged, so we lay it on the side to indicate, hey, this is now damaged. Right now that's not really a problem. Now the defending player could retreat, but pirates never retreat. I could now also retreat, but I think I'm feeling lucky. So we go into the next combat round. I replace this 1 die, so this is the upgraded frigate here, which also hits on a green side. Let's see. Again, we are not lucky. Another hit, but at least this frigate is now toast. Unfortunately, the frigate still fires back because the battle is simultaneously. So still allowed to roll all 3 of his dice. Bad pirate. Let's see. These are 0 hits. This is perfect. A blue would be a hit for me. But I think I will go into the next round. He's only down to 2 dice. He is rolling now because of his cruiser. Let's see. Again, we are not lucky. This should be the other way around, but at least 1 additional hit. He will remove 1 die. He only is down to a cruiser. This is 1 hit. Unfortunate. And also unfortunately, I cannot assign the hit now on this ship. I always have to go to the ship that's already damaged. So in this case, I have to take out this ship here. So this is now destroyed. So I'm also down to only 2 dice. Luckily, I'm the corporations player. Otherwise, I would really be in trouble right now. But in theory, we are also only looking for 2 more hits. We are still allowed to roll 2 dice. Let's see. And again, it's the wrong way around. This was 1 hit, which means the cruiser is down to only 1 more hit point. Unfortunately, he can still roll 2 dice. So theoretically, he can take me out with 1 shot now. Let's see. We are lucky. That's great. So I think let's keep on rolling. So I will not retreat. I will replace this die here. Let's hope for 1 hit. Yes, this is a blue hit. Normally blue does not count as a hit, but as I played this maximum firepower here, during the entire combat, the blue faces are also hits, which means the cruiser is destroyed. Unfortunately, he will be allowed to fire back. So let's hope for the best. Okay, that's only 1 hit, but we don't have to assign this hit because all of the ships are basically repaired after each battle. Awesome! So for once, we are allowed to place 1 of those tokens here. As we were successful against fighting a pirate, we are also allowed to claim 1 of those capacity tokens right away. So blue is already up to 5 of those tokens. And he's still allowed to take 3 of those prizes here. And I think I will go for 2 event cards for now. I will have a look at them in a second. And I think with the remaining prize, I will upgrade this ship here with shields, or with shields here. This basically gives you an additional hit point. It's nothing else, but it's pretty powerful, especially when you have the combination of 2 of both weapon systems and the shield systems. The frigates really can do some serious damage and also can take some damage. That's really more important. Those are the 2 cards that the blue player just got. For once we have the revolts. We know this one already. I think right now he will not... Oh, he can do that. Maybe he's really thinking of using this. And here we have the spy. Steal 1 random event card from an opponent's hand. You may play an additional card this turn. Right now, none of the other players have event cards, so it's also relatively useless. And yeah, still, we have 1 more thing to do. I nearly forgot that. The pirates were, of course, protecting or attacking something. So we will replace now this tile here with a new tile, and this will be brought into play face up. And in this case, we see another science station that those pirates were guarding or attacking. Wow, this is so great for the blue player because he can now activate 2 of those science centers, and they're really far away from all the other players, so he is really in an advantage over there. So he can go for an event card here and upgrade a ship, or do 2 upgrades in 1 single turn. This is really huge. And wow, this was a long turn for the blue player, but finally we come into the next common turn, and this will be started by the yellow player because, yeah, this is the idea of this token going counterclockwise. And I think he will have a look at this tile here. Then it's the red player. He checks out this tile and Ashimahuri, and this is a red planet, so he can take over control here. This is really important for him. This is great news. And blue wants to check out this space tile up there. Then it's the yellow player's turn. He can still activate some systems. So once he will go for the starting space. He has 3 capacity tokens, so he will definitely call in some of his friends here. He will put it like this. He can still upgrade a ship by activating this planet here, and why not, let's go for this ship here right away. He will go for some weapon systems, and for his main action I think he will go for this tile here. He will activate his ships. This is a wormhole, so he will call in 2 ships right now. So he will place the first token like this, and now he can basically choose let's say a space where this wormhole is leading to. And I think in this case he really thinks that the blue player got way too powerful, so he will put an exit to this wormhole right here. Of course, these wormholes work bidirectionally, so the blue player could also jump back to the wormhole of the right player. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good deal for him. He could now think of using the remaining movement point to jump over to the space, but with only 2 ships at this point in time, I think he will rather not do it, because the corporation still roll 1 more combat die during combat. He knows he has some event cards left, so this could really be a tough nut to crack. And then it's the red player's turn. This time he can activate Cassiopeia, so he will be allowed to claim one of those event cards. What do we have here? Some scouts. Look at 2 concealed squares or exchange this card for another event card. You may play an additional card this turn. This is actually pretty cool. So I think I will use this card right away, and so he can have a look below this one. This is an empty space, useless for him. Let's have a look at this one. Oh wow, this is a shipyard. Here you can build those awesome cruisers here, but right now he cannot reach it. But it's good to know that it's there, so he can go there during a later turn. This was pretty much his activation phase. He can still do his main action, and I think we all know what's below here, so he will move with his 2 ships to this planet, Ashima Huri. Again, we have to populate it, so it's one red cube because there's already 1 symbol showing. He traveled there with 2 ships, so this is already a great start. Let's draw 3 more cubes from the back. Here are 2, so it seems he's certainly in the lead. Okay, that's pretty okay for the red player. For once, he just got control over another planet like this, and I just noticed that I forgot to give the blue player control over a station. This also means that this card will be resolved in a second, but first of all, let's finish the turn of the red player. Let's do the math again. 1, 2, 3 of those symbols. He's only at 2. This means he gets 1 additional capacity token. One thing I should have mentioned earlier, you can never lose those capacity markers. So even though if he would lose both of those planets later on, he would not get rid of those capacity tokens. Once you have them, you can basically keep them until the end of the game. Otherwise, the game would be really tough. Okay, then let's resolve this mission card here. In this case, we just flip it because it grants you some of those population cubes. And you can use those population cubes for a free diplomacy action during your turn. And I think this is what the red player will totally do right now. It's still considered to be his turn, so he takes those 2 of his population cubes, and with those he will trigger a diplomacy action. It's a free action, so he will exchange those two basically. You could also have opted for only one or whatever, none of those, but you only can do that on one system during one turn. In this case, he also got control over an additional system here, which means he just not got 4 of those capacity tokens, which is of course great for him, as he still has his goal of collecting 8 of those in order to win this game. Awesome. And then last but not least, we will reveal a new card, and this is another of those conquering card or conquer cards. So 2 stations, 1 asteroid field and 1 empty space. This is something that we can definitely handle, but now we still have to move this common turn marker counterclockwise, which means it's between the red and the blue player, so we will immediately have an additional common turn. And this time the blue player will start, and I guess he will look at this tile here. Yellow will go for this tile. And as red already knows that there is crap beneath this tile, we will just replace it. And of course we are not allowed to look at this new tile, but we can still do that during the next common turn, or we could jump into this system. And then the game would continue with the blue player. But I think I will end my walkthrough here, and now I think most of the mechanics should have gone clear. There are way more tiles here in the game. So for once, earlier on the blue player scouted this tile here. This is a smuggling base. This basically allows you to do diplomacy actions on planets which are currently occupied by enemy players, which is always a good thing. As I mentioned, there will be some changes in the second edition of the game. So for once, the game will be completely English. In this version, there are some typos every now and then, but I'm pretty confident that he will work on those. The plastic miniatures are definitely one important pieces. Of course, I can basically live with those cardboard ships, but I could also imagine that there are fellas out there who really enjoy some miniatures. Again, I really hope I can show you some of the prototypes. There are some new elements that he wants to introduce to the game. So there are faction powers that you can further develop. So I think up to 2 additional powers can be obtained in some kind of stages whenever you meet some conditions or something like that. There are new playing areas. I think he's going for some of the trading stations and the trading ship miniatures. This is really something that's already great. I think there are also new factions that come into play, and possibly some more, even more factions with some stretch goals we might be able to meet. Good thing is that he's also conscious of owners of the first edition, as this seems to be a pledge level for owners, particularly for the first edition, so some kind of an upgrade pack. I don't have that many details here, but of course I think you will get some miniatures, you will get the new faction sheet, the strategies and the new rule books and such. So this is certainly a great way to deal with a campaign, I guess. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed my little walkthrough here. Check out the campaign. You will certainly find a link to the campaign in the description of this video. And I think I will also do a card here. Should pop up any second now. And hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. And yeah, until then, bye bye.